You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, and a lot of moms say some version of this. I know I need to let go of control, but I can't. Like, you're not trying to be controlling. You're trying to keep things from falling apart. You don't want to drop any balls. You don't want anyone to be upset. And you're trying to prevent conflict and disappointment and that awful feeling of, I should have seen this coming or I knew better. But what if this control you're trying to let go of, it is not a personality flaw, but it's your safety strategy? In this conversation, you're going to hear why control can feel like agency, like the only way not to feel helpless. And we're going to break this conversation down into 3 parts. Why it's so hard to let go of control, how people-pleasing becomes this control in disguise, and what actually helps you stop carrying the emotional weight in relationships. And to do this, we are chatting with the lovely Kati Morton. Kati is a licensed marriage and family therapist, media personality, and best-selling author whose work on mental health has reached millions around the world. With over 1.5 million YouTube subscribers and more than 100 million views, Kati has built a trusted platform where she breaks down complex psychological topics in ways that feel accessible and doable in real life. She holds a master's in clinical psychology and is known for helping women understand the deeper patterns behind anxiety, perfectionism, and burnout. And Why Do I Keep Doing This is her latest book. This is a phenomenal conversation where we start out with this issue of control. We actually break down into deeper things going on in your relationships that when you solve them, the need for control kind of diminishes. So I cannot wait for you to hear this. Let's get on with the show. I'm so excited to have you here. As I mentioned before we started recording, I have been a follower of yours for a long time, watching your YouTubes. You are such a great source of information, just giving it straight and direct and to the point and how people can use that right away. So I really love it.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Your book that is already out in stores, I loved it when it came in because the topic is so relevant for our No Guilt Mom community, all about why you can't let go of control and what control is. Because I know this is something that so many women struggle with. So can you tell me a little bit about your book, Why Do I Keep Doing This, and why you decided to write it right now?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. This book of all of my books, so this is my 3rd book, and it's the most personal. And I think there's a couple of reasons that it came to be. It actually was born out of an idea for an eating disorder book. And just hang with me for a second, because I had brought the idea to my agent because that's my specialty. So for those who don't know, that's what my private practice was. That's what I did for all of my hours. And I worked at eating disorder treatment centers, all that stuff. And I really wanted to write a book called It's Not About the Fucking Food.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, because it's not. Spoiler.
It's not.
It's about numbing out and it's about control. And so I was talking to my agent about it. And I was like, I really want to call it this. And I want to talk about this. And I think control is this thread and, trying to cope and all of this. And she's like, love it. Who's going to buy that book? And I was like, well, I mean, eating disorder people. And she's like, will they though? Because you talk about the fact that they don't always want to get help and it's hard and a lot of them aren't ready for help. She's like, just think about it. But I think we could still do a book about control. Just think about it. And so I thought about it. And when we got to talking again, and I was sharing well, control is everywhere. And this is how the book came to be. Control is everywhere. And I was like, just the other day, because I struggle with people pleasing. I was just trying to make somebody happy.
Me too.
Yeah, it's so exhausting. And I'm trying to keep everything perfect at my house. And why? I don't know. And want things done just a certain kind of way. And I don't want to turn things in until they're perfect and blah, blah, blah. And as her and I were going back, she's like, oh my God, me too, me too. And then she's like, I think this is the book. Think about it, you know? And so I thought about it, and I don't even remember how the title came to be, but it's just something I've said to myself a lot. Like, why do I keep doing this? Initially was like, can't we just call it Why Do I Keep Doing This? And Other Thoughts I Have at 2 a.m. And she's like, no, the subtitle has to like tell people more. So then she's like, how about unlearn, you know, the habits keeping you stuck and unhappy? And I was like, okay. So that's how the book came to be. And I think now, for in my life at least, maybe it's my age, maybe it's just a transition, but I definitely have felt more of this, like, I don't want to keep doing the same thing. I'm not
No. Yeah.
It's not that I'm not happy with my life. I don't want to sound dramatic like that, but it's like, I'm not happy with it staying like this. Like, I always have like a growth mindset. Like, what can I do better today that yesterday Katie didn't quite, you know, like I want to
Right. I'm
move
like that
forward.
too.
And
Yes.
so that's kind of where the why now, because I'm in that stage, and I got back into therapy and tried EMDR. We can talk about all this stuff. And
Yeah.
it was just definitely for me. I wrote it for me and for anyone else who has felt that way before.
Yeah, it's so interesting because control is something I think that we're all aware of as women. Like we know, like we need it. And yet we kind of give ourselves a hard time for needing it, but we can't let go of it at the same time. You like put like so many little conversation ideas in my head with what you said right there. And the first thing I want to talk about though is like, what is behind this need for control? Why can't we let it go?
Because it's safe. We often don't think of it that way. Or maybe we do, but really what control does is it helps us feel like we have some sense of agency over our life, because
Mhm.
so much of our experience is out of our control, right? Essentially in the book, and I talk about this throughout it, is like the only thing we can control is ourselves. I
Yeah.
can't control my husband. If you have children, you can't control them. You've learned that, I'm sure, the hard
Nope.
way over and
Can't do it.
over. Don't do
Mhm.
that. Don't touch that. And they like look at you while they do it. You know, we're independent beings.
My niece has this thing right now. She's almost 2.
Mhm.
And like it's funny how much like control like goes down the ages because now she likes to take things and run. So my dad was saying when he was watching her yesterday, she goes to their phone cradle. They still have a landline in their house. She takes the phone out, looks for my dad, and as soon as she makes eye contact, runs.
Yeah.
Like just because of like the control thing. Yeah.
Yes, and in ages when we grow up, like developmentally, we
Mhm.
push back on because we want to show that we're independent. So it's us taking control back from our parents, which is why like
Oh,
twos
yeah.
and threes are tough. It's the time
Mhm.
when we first realize that we have separation, like I can be my
Oh.
own. And that's why teenage years are so rough. You know, we can talk about all of that. But in general, I think the reason that it's so hard to let go of control is because when we do those things, whether it's perfectionism, people
Mm.
pleasing, whatever you want to talk about, there's a ton of ways it shows up. We're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
that to give us some semblance of independence, of control over a situation in which we don't have any. And it's like that illusion that keeps us coming back to it. And, you know, it sucks to feel helpless.
It does.
And that's why we instead pretend that we can control it.
Oh, yes, it does. Like this whole like perfectionism, I think really runs very rampant among like high achieving women too. And it's something that I know I have struggled with. Like I started therapy again like 5 months ago and it's been amazing. But I was just talking about this in my session yesterday because I had this personal situation, a relationship that actually ended yesterday, which I'm good with. But the reason I wouldn't end it sooner is because there was like this little piece of control in me thinking I could fix it, that I was responsible for fixing the dynamic. And there was something that I wasn't doing and it wouldn't let me let go of. And I think that that's kind of the control sense right there, how I feel safe in the situation.
Yes, 100%.
You talk about in your book about how those patterns actually have emerged really early in our lives. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. The first chapter of my book is about the blueprint. And it's essentially something that we don't always realize. I think we kind of talk over it, is that when we're born into our family, for the
Mhm.
first year we form attachment. We know that through research, but there's arguments that it's the first 5 years that are really pivotal in us developing what I call the blueprint, but other people could call like what's normal, what do you expect in situations, like your personality is formed. But in those first 5 years, we learn how relationships operate.
Mhm.
What does love look like? How do people argue? How do
Yeah.
people repair? Do they? repair? Did they come back together? What does it mean to have family, friendships? All these dynamics are displayed to us in our family and in our, whether it's our nuclear family or just like our community. We see it, we're sponges for it. And that helps us put together this blueprint for what our life is going to look like, what relationships look like, et cetera. And so we take that blueprint right away from a very young age, and we go out looking for people who have either similar blueprints where they like fit right on top of each other, or ones that are what we're looking for. So it's like, if my blueprint is missing a garage, let's say it's a blueprint for a house and it's missing a garage, and I find this guy who has a garage, I'm like, amazing. I've been looking for someone who can do this thing. You fit in nicely. And that garage could be, oh, he knows how to have difficult conversations, or he knows how to fight. I don't really know how to fight. I don't know how to have conflict. He does that. Or I'm not really good with advocating for myself, but this person is, right? We can look for that opposite. That's why I call it like the garage. It's like, oh, I need an add-on. Who has that add-on? Okay. And so we go out into the world with this blueprint looking for those types of things. And the way that this ties to control is that our blueprint is connected to all of those relationship dynamics. And we're going to find someone who's comfortable and familiar. I didn't say healthy, comfortable and familiar, that allows us to continue this semblance of control in our lives. And so that can mean that the person that we pick allows us to do everything needed for the home in the way that we want. And they don't help. And that could be good or bad, but it feels comfortable to us because that's what we're used to. That's my role, right? It fits into that blueprint. I don't know if
it feels like home. Yeah.
Yes, because it's like, this feels good. I know what to expect. And that allows me to soothe, continuing to do the behaviors that I learned growing up.
It totally makes sense.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Okay, real talk. I have approximately 47,000 photos on my phone. I wish I was joking. And every year I tell myself, this is the year I'm going to do something with all of these memories. And then I don't, because who has time to sit there arranging photos into layouts for hours? Well, I finally did it. And I need to tell you about Journey Print because it was honestly so much easier than I expected. Here is what blew my mind. Their AI auto arranges your photos into this beautiful book in seconds. You upload your pictures from your phone and their smart algorithm organizes everything by date and location. It even adds maps. So my book isn't just random photos. It's actually the story of our year. I made this year in review book and flipping through it with my kids, seeing our trip to Paris last year, the first day of school where my daughter's a senior, and even just silly everyday moments, it hit me how fast this year went. And now we have this gorgeous, gorgeous book to hold on to because the quality is premium, like really nice satin paper. And they plant a tree for every order, which I love. Creating it took me maybe 15 minutes. That's it. No joke. Go to journeyapp.com/podcast/NGM and use code NOGUILT to get 30% off your next purchase. That's Journey spelled JOURNIAPP.com/podcast/NGM and use code NOGUILT at checkout.
1 second, you're finally cleaning out the gutters. The next, the fire alarm blares from inside. Smoke billows out the kitchen window. These are the wake-up calls that happen daily. In 1 second, everything can change. ADT knows that nobody wants to feel unsafe or unprepared for an emergency, especially in their own home. That's why they offer affordable DIY security systems you can set up yourself and monitor from virtually anywhere with the ADT Plus app. They're customizable so you can set up the system that works best for you and keep an eye on it in real time. And ADT security technology is designed for peace of mind by making it easier for first responders to identify your house. They have the most company-operated monitoring centers in the industry, which means you'll get the alerts that matter for you and your home. You tackle that to-do list, ADT will help make sure your home's protected. When every second counts, count on ADT. Visit ADT.com to learn more.
Going back to like the question, why do I keep doing this? I recently noticed that I have a pattern in my life where I tend to pick the similar type of like best friend. And it's always like, best female friend. And they always end spectacularly bad, where it goes and creates this like no contact scenario. And I asked this question actually in therapy. I'm like, why is this happening? And looking back, it is the blueprint I got when I was younger. Some of the dynamics in the relationships I see are some of the dynamics that I've had with my own mother. And it's no coincidence that it is like that. So like when you see a pattern like that, Katie, like what can you do about it?
I feel like figuring out the pattern is some of the hardest work. So kudos to you, because for so long,
a lot of therapy work. Yeah.
And a one-off isn't a pattern, right? So like things can happen and people can act erratically and you're like, whoa, I don't know what went on there. But when you see it like over and over again and you realize where it's coming from, the best thing you can do is start. And people are going to be like, this is an annoying answer, but just work with me. It's the first step. What we need to do is figure out what it is that we actually want. So often we know what we don't want. Okay, I don't want this dynamic again. Easy. But what does that look like? Like spend time being curious, like journaling or writing down, like what would a healthy friendship look like then? If I find myself in this dynamic, what is the thing that I want? And then like step 2 is like, what kind of person do I have to become to attract or to continue to have a relationship like that? I know those are 2 huge steps, but that's really like, if we want to break patterns, we have to acknowledge our role in it. Right. And we have to also acknowledge, what are we working towards? Like, what is the goal, right? Because like I said, we can say, I don't want that dynamic, but I don't want that doesn't say what we do want. That doesn't really give us something to work towards.
Right. It's interesting because I have looked into it, and I'm just like using me as an illustration here, but it's hard to say what I do want, because I feel like saying what I do want will like put the blame on the other person. Like I consider myself somebody with really high like self-agency. I think I can control things, which is obviously like going back to the whole thing. Is it really that other person's fault, or is it my fault for how I show up in the relationship? And how I see, like you're saying it, is it's like, it's kind of both. It's like that person's characteristics and your own characteristics.
It's 50-50. As my therapist has told me, you can't clean their side of the street. You can only clean yours. And so when we're looking for what is it that we would want in a relationship, that's not saying, oh, this person's like such a jerk. Can't believe I was ever friends with them. No, it's their fault. It's saying, what qualities or what behaviors do I want in a relationship, in any relationship, not pointing a finger at anybody, in any relationship. What is it that I really need? And then for the 50-50, so that's like, what am I looking for in someone else? So that's on someone else. And then what do I need to become to be able to have that kind of relationship? Because so often I find, especially in romantic relationships, we're like, well, I want someone who's a self-starter, who's loyal and honest. And we have all these traits, but then we never pause to think, hey, but do I do stuff like that? Like someone like that sounds amazing. Am I at that level? I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody. It's just like, we have to consider the relationships that we want. Someone else has to want to be in a relationship with us too. Like that friend has to want to see us again. What does that look like? And even as you said, like, I don't want to put the blame on them. I'm like, ooh, the therapist in me can't help it. I'm like,
yeah, please.
I'm like, it sounds like it's possible that you have a very tough time letting yourself off the hook at all. And it's easier for you to take all the blame versus
I laugh because you got me so good that way. Yes. No, it's exactly right. You're exactly right. It's easier for me to take all the blame. I get in these things where I will, to smooth things over, I take on extreme ownership of whatever just happened. I will acknowledge every little thing that I did differently. And what I see in like these relationships is that the other person doesn't do the same.
Well, no, because you're taking it all. Right?
Because I'm taking it all. Yeah.
So we don't have to. It's almost like in my, like, to make this, so it's not all, not trying to put you under the spotlight or anything.
It's okay. I'm fine with it.
Okay. I'm like, as a people pleaser, I would find myself in relationships where people expected me to give more.
Oh,
And then when I'd want anything and they didn't show up for me, I'd be like, oh, I'd be so devastated. But my therapist was like, but you never wanted them to in the past. They like don't know how to do that for you. Like you didn't pick people who do that for you, you know?
Oh,
And so in your case,
yeah.
it's like you're taking all the blame. So then when someone does need to own up to their piece, because right, we can clean our sides of the road and we come together, but we each have to clean our side of the road. The person you're in relationships with, like, what are you talking about? I don't clean my side of the road. You clean yours and mine. I
Oh
don't.
gosh, Katie. Like this just like horrible. Like, oh my gosh, like just realization happening over here in real time. This is almost exactly what happened because like I find myself in relationships like with people who assume my actions are of negative intent. If I do something, it's because I am thinking less of them or I don't appreciate them or I'm disrespecting them. And it's usually not that at all, but then they'll hold it in, hold it in, hold it in until it explodes. I will assume all responsibility for doing it. Things will go better and then it'll happen again and again. And I'll just get resentful and irritable and everything. And then it just ends.
Yeah. Well, and then you have to walk away
Yeah.
because it's gone too far, especially once resentment enters the room. There's this old, I don't even know, it's in therapy. I forget who it is, like they did the research in psychology to come up with these therapy terms, but they talk about like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which sounds very intense, but it's essentially the ending of relationships, like when there's no turning back. And resentment is one of those.
Really?
I'd have to look up the rest. People are like, what are the others? I'd have to Google it to make sure I say them all correctly. But resentment is a big piece of that because it's hard to come back from it.
That is interesting to know. Yeah. I try not to have like resentment in my really close relationships, like with my kids. That's like one thing that always comes up. Like if they are asking me to do something or if I feel like doing it would make me just extremely mad, I'm like, oh, there's a little thing of resentment popping up right there.
Yes.
I'm going to have to set a boundary and I'm going to have to say no to that. But it's so hard for me to do in friendships. I feel like I'll be pushed out or
Well, and
said,
then
like,
what would that mean for you? Because that's the thing is the one key piece, and like throughout the book I talk about this, and also in my own personal work, I always have to consider what I'm afraid of because fear is a crazy intense motivator. So for you to be pushed out, what does that mean? Then
rejection. Yeah.
And that's very painful. Nobody wants to be rejected, right? I think we give like, I need attention, I need validation. And we're like, ooh, those are bad things. No, those are human needs. Those are basic human needs. Like, look at children, how much they, mama, look, how much they want us to see and to get attention, to get validation. Oh, good job. And then they're like, okay, then they go off and play. We need that. It's part of, I forget who did the research on this. I think it was the Gottmans, but research into feeling seen, heard, and understood and how key that is in our development, both emotionally, but also relationally. Like it's just part of that blueprint to have a healthy, happy blueprint. We need to feel seen, heard, and understood. And I did look up the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and I was a little bit off, but not by much. And it's John Gottman.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are 4 destructive communication styles is what these are. And they're criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. And I think I was confusing contempt for the resentment, but there you go.
Contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling.
You know what's interesting about tax season? It's one of the only times most people actually stop and look at their full financial picture. Earnings, spending, savings, all of it. And honestly, it made me realize I wanted that kind of clarity year round, not just once a year when the IRS makes me do it. Instead of just looking back and cringing, I'm now looking forward and I'm making moves. And for a mom who's trying to plan for kids' activities, save for a family vacation, and not completely ignore retirement, that clarity is everything. That's where Monarch comes in. I'm not just tracking spending and feeling bad. I'm actually hitting milestones. And when that tax refund hits, I know exactly where it's going to make the biggest difference for my family. Simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts, and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code NOGUILT. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com, code no guilt. Hey parents, if you're like me, you might see your kids struggling with reading and ask, what's going on? Maybe you're even starting to wonder about dyslexia. You're not alone, and there is a way forward that doesn't involve yet another night of tears over homework and reading. I want to tell you about the Reading Guru. The Reading Guru offers live, one-on-one online reading tutoring with Orton Gillingham certified teachers. Orton Gillingham reading tutoring is backed by research. It's the gold standard for helping kids with dyslexia and other reading gaps. The Reading Guru's tutors are master literacy specialists who tailor every lesson to your child's strengths, challenges, and interests. And they don't move on until your child gets it. And because sessions are online, finding time is easy. As a former elementary school teacher, I know how beneficial it is to have kids feel confident in reading. And the Reading Guru makes it so accessible. Whether your kid has been frustrated with reading for years or you're just beginning to worry, this could be the moment that changes everything. With the right help, your kid can become a great reader. Visit readingguru.com to sign up for a free consultation because every child deserves to crack the reading code.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
It's so interesting talking about, you have some control. It's like a 50-50 control split, but I want to shift into this element of people pleasing. Like, how is people pleasing a form of control?
This was blow my head open moment in therapy. Like, my mind was completely blown. I always thought people pleasing was like, I'm a good person. Look at me.
Uh-huh.
I put people first, like, wear it like a badge of honor.
I'm unselfish and so helpful and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah.
Look at me, such a selfless, amazing friend.
Yes.
No, my therapist very no, that's not quite it. People pleasing is actually a form of manipulation. Now, hang with me.
Oh.
That's how she said it to me.
Yeah.
I had the same reaction as you. Like, what? Because, and this is when I was like, holy, like, head explode.
Yeah.
So it's a form of manipulation, not out of malice, not to do anything bad. There's no malicious intent. I'm not like, hey, I'm going to manipulate you into doing something you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to manipulate you into being happy, because having people be upset or unhappy makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And that's that's the kicker for me, because I am very conflict averse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only recently becoming more comfortable with saying, like, hey, that hurt my feelings, which sounds like no big deal to people who aren't conflict averse. But to those of us that are like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, that's the most uncomfortable thing that I could ever have to say.
Mine is too. I mean, I would agree with you.
I would have assumed because of the, like, I take the ownership. Because
yeah, I take the ownership.
If I take it, then there's nothing left to talk about. Let's just pretend it's okay. Right. Yeah. And I'm that way too. Like, I prefer, let's pretend it's okay. And so my therapist had told me that people pleasing is really a form of manipulation, because I'm trying to get people to be happy, because once they're happy and comfortable, then and only then can I relax.
Oh, I mean, I identify with that comment for sure. Like, I see it in myself, but I also have been on the other side of that extreme people pleasing, where I didn't feel that seen, heard, and understood with the people pleasing. And it's always one of those things. It's like, I see the intent to like do something nice, but I didn't feel comfortable talking about it and saying no, because I thought I was a bad person for even feeling those feelings. Like, I feel a little bit manipulated here and I don't feel understood here. And I don't feel like I even want this thing. It's kind of also why I have this pushback against gifts, because I kind of feel the same way. Like, it's like, here's this thing that's supposed to make you happy and you're supposed to act happy and appreciative and everything. It's a really hard road. So confusing.
Yes, it's really tricky. People pleasing is very interesting. And I think on both ends of it, no one's really happy, right? And we have to remember that. I think in the book, I talk about how I use my people pleasing, like not against myself, but in an effort to change, because I'm like, you're trying to make someone feel some kind of way, which you can't, by the way.
You can't. Yeah.
And in essence, might be making them more uncomfortable, to your point. And so don't you want people to be happy? Like, so you should probably stop.
Has that had any effect on your people pleasing at all? How you behave with it?
Yes and no. I think, to be truthful, it's funny because writing this book was almost like therapy for me. I mean, I was in therapy when I was writing it as well, but I feel like the process of trying to teach, it helps me. I learn more trying to teach others. That's like how I learn, I guess. And through
I do too. Like, you don't know it, because I used to be an elementary school teacher. And like, the whole thing is like, you don't know a subject as well as you do when you have to teach it.
Yeah, because you have to explain it step by step, right? It's not just like, oh, it just works out, or like, oh, I know. You have to tell people, and how do you tell them about it? And so when I was writing this section, I talked a little bit about using the people pleasing, like almost against myself, but really for my betterment. But what really helped me most, this is going to sound like off on a whole nother tangent, but it didn't have anything to do with other people at all. It was more to do with me getting not only more confident in myself, but also being comfortable sharing my upset. And those two pieces have really made the biggest impact. And my therapist had challenged me. I forget exactly when this was. I think I wrote about it in the book, unless it got cut by my editor, but I don't think it did. I used to do this like pull back, like retreat. So like if I feel upset, but I don't know what to do about it yet, and I can't like please my way out of it, I do like the silent treatment.
Yeah, I do the same. I'll avoid.
You should know. I like, especially with my husband, I'd like be upset that he did something or said something. And then I'd be like, well, he needs to come and find me and ask me why I'm mad. And my therapist essentially
he should see that. He should see you're mad.
He should know
go for it. Yes.
I'm not talking like I normally do. He should. Yes. And my therapist, in not this way, but this is the point. She was essentially like, you know how toxic that is. You're expecting him to like chase you. Like, why? You know? So a lot of my homework was figuring out like, why do I do that? Turns out it's because I want to feel seen, heard, and understood, but I don't know how to communicate that. So the challenge was to communicate it. And so her homework for me was, next time you want to pull away, and this has been the best advice I've ever received, especially for my marriage, but friendships too. Every time I feel that urge to pull, to retract, like retreat, instead lean forward, lean in, and tell them. And easier said than done. I tried and failed many times. Like, I'm going to do, no. But when I finally did, and I remember I was like, this is so silly. I've been with my husband for like 18 years or something. But I was so nervous and like walked into his office and I was like, kind of like feeling a little anxious. And I was like, what you said, I don't even remember what it was. That's how significant it was. But like, what you said just hurt my feelings. He's like, oh my God, I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Just immediate, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. And he's like, I didn't mean it that way. What I was trying to say. And then I was like, oh, but when you said it that way, I thought you were blaming me. And like, resolved in like 20 seconds. This could have gone on for days, by the way, of me like being kind of quiet, being kind of standoffish, and him saying, are you okay? And me being like, I'm fine.
Right.
Resolved immediately. So now, because I had that one positive experience, I've realized that if I do that in relationships, so I've tried it in friendships here and there a little bit. For me, 100% of the time it has worked. It has led to a little quick discussion of, oh my God, I didn't mean to. I meant this, or this is what I was trying to do. And then I say, oh, I took it this way. Resolution. And so that's been the best for me when it comes to not harboring resentment, not doing those things like the stonewalling, the contempt, all those things that aren't healthy for our relationships, but we do them. That leaning in has been a game changer.
I think that like it is such an important point, and you just used such a simple sentence. It was like, what you did, name what they did. It hurt my feelings. Like it wasn't overly complicated. And it used to be a lot harder for me to express my feelings. And like I do it really well with my husband now, but of course in friendships it's hard because I was always afraid of being like, what you did hurt my feelings. And then they would come back and be like, oh, but you did this, this, and this. And so did it. And that's why I never approached the person, because in my mind, that's how it happened.
Yeah, you were already like beat by it. So
I was already beat by it. And I have to say, like, what you said earlier about it being 50-50, in my relationship with my husband, what you just described in your relationship with your husband, it's exactly like that. He's like, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do that. I am so sorry. And then in the more like toxic relationships, it's like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. But can I also share what happened to me? And like, I'm like, okay, like we are not okay here. And in the future, I'm going to use that as kind of an indicator of, hey, this is not going to work out if somebody comes back like that.
And that's the thing is once we lean in and are a little bit vulnerable, which I know is scary, I'm not pretending it's easy, but that tells you everything you need to know about that relationship. If someone laundry lists, that's super unhealthy. Laundry list is like, you did this, 1, 2, 3, all these things that I've been keeping track of. I mean, I have to think, do I keep track of all the wrongs? And like, no, I don't.
No, I talk about them at each time and I get them resolved is really the thing. Yes. I get them resolved. And I think that is so important. That like just sparked me a little bit because in this incident that happened, the person gave me a laundry list of things and then blamed me for making them give me a laundry list of things. So
it sounds like a little narcissistic, but yes.
Oh, it is. Yes.
Yes. I was like, wow. And that's the thing too, is like, if someone gives you a non-apology, I think these are important to air out because somebody will be like, well, they apologized, but they really didn't. If they say, I'm so sorry you felt that way, that's not an apology. That means they're apologizing for how you felt. What? No, they're not apologizing for what they did. A true apology, it's like my husband saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for that. This is what I was trying to say. I did not mean to hurt your feelings. I'm so sorry for hurting your feelings. I'm so sorry that I did that thing.
Right.
That's an apology. I'm so sorry you feel that way is a non-apology. And when people give that to you, it's because they're not sorry. And we shouldn't accept it. That it's almost like you're looking for a meal and they give you crumbs. That's not what we want, right? And so just notice how people respond to it because that will tell you the dynamic. And I think because you like to take the lion's share of blame, your so-called friend was happy to dish that out for you. Because she was like, well, you'll just own it. So I'm just going to, and it's not me, not my fault,
What can you say if somebody comes back to you with that dynamic early in the friendship? You go, you're vulnerable. There isn't this pattern established, or maybe there is, and they come back at you with that non-apology. Like, what's your next response?
I mean, to be truthful, it depends on what we're trying to do. I'm not saying people can't change because I obviously am a therapist. I believe everybody can, but it's not up to you to make someone change. So what I would say is something to the effect of like, I just wanted to express, so I would just stop them. I wouldn't, we don't have to continue this conversation. I would say like, I just wanted to let you know that hurt my feelings. This clearly isn't a productive conversation. We can talk about this at another time, or I'm just going to have to walk away. I think we're so afraid to leave a conversation or to walk away. That doesn't mean that we can't come back to it, but no one has to sit there and have someone berate them.
Yeah.
That you don't have to do that either. And I think you could give them another opportunity. Again, if you're wanting to like, hey, maybe there's a misunderstanding, you could say, I wasn't trying to get into a fight with you. I was actually trying to stop one by letting you know that this hurt my feelings. If you're not willing to apologize for that, that's fine. But then I'm going, and then that's the boundary. Then I'm going to have to leave. Or then I have places to be. I have another appointment. You can make up whatever you want. You can get yourself out of there. I think we often believe boundaries are these like things that we lay down and they're harsh and they're really communicated way ahead of time, but they're in the moment. Like in something like that, you don't have to sit there. If they're not willing to apologize and move forward, then I'm going to leave. That's what I was hoping for. If you're not able to give it to me, that's okay. I can't force you. Can't make anybody do anything. But I don't have to sit here and listen to you like talk trash for, I know that's easier said than done. Practice it in the mirror before you try to, write things down, get yourself a little bit more comfortable with it. And I will tell you that as someone who's tried to do this stuff more, you'll leave and you'll be shaking a little bit and you'll be a little sweaty and it's a little scary, but it's so much better to do that then than later on to have these big blow ups or to try to ghost. That's my favorite, is usually ghost, because I don't like conflict. So I'm like,
ghosting
you never saw
is
me.
one of mine.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm out of here without even stating why I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
No, I'm out of here. Just never reply again. See you never.
Exactly. Well, Katie, like, we started this discussion with control and really went down into its roots of this huge like part of relationship dynamics and being afraid of conflict and all these things. And it has just been such a phenomenal conversation. Tell us a little bit about your book and where people can find it.
Yeah, my book, Why Do I Keep Doing This, is available anywhere you buy books. I always want to encourage people to go to your local bookstore if you have one and pick it up there. It really dives into my relationship with control. So you're kind of following me through what I've learned. I've been in and out of therapy since I was 15. So many, many years of work on this and things that I still don't know. The one thing that I think is really different for this book compared to my others is it's not me telling you what to do. It's me talking you through the things that I've learned, and then also leaving it open to be like, this I'm still struggling with. Haven't quite figured it out. Think of me as kind of, like your emotional Sherpa taking you along. But I also this is my first time on the path too, I don't want it to be too prescriptive. It's more like a come along with me story. And I feel really proud of it, I think, because it is my most personal work. And really my goal was to just have people feel like they're not alone. Like, if you've been feeling this way, it's not just you. You're not the only one trying to keep everything together, thinking if I do this just right, then people will like me or I will be loved or whatever. Yeah, I've been struggling with it my whole life and it's getting better. So there is hope. Don't worry. But, it's like whack-a-mole sometimes, something will crop up. And so I hope it's helpful for any other person out there who's felt like, I'm just trying to keep it all together. And if I do this just right, then they'll like me and then this will work out. And, it's exhausting.
I know that applies to so many people in our audience. I have heard that a lot. So go out and grab Katie's book. And until next time, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. And we'll talk to you later.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You could also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.